Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Mortgage King. I wanted to make a quick video for you guys about the mortgage forbearance. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. There's a lot of information on social media. There's also a lot of information on regular media. There's a lot of noise with regards to this topic, so I wanted to clarify a few things. Now, if you've heard of this information, you probably know that this is for people who have been negatively affected financially because of the coronavirus. So today is April 3rd. I've had past clients contacting me saying, "Hey, what's this news that I'm hearing about? Can I skip payments?" And it's a very good question. So here's the answer: if you can make your mortgage payments, make sure to do so. You'll be doing a very patriotic act by doing that. If everybody decides to use a forbearance and not make any mortgage payments, that'll be very bad for the economy. A lot of people will be affected. Not just lenders, but just everybody who's an everyday working person in society that will be affected. So as of March 21st, March 22nd, can't remember the date exactly, the government came out with the CARE Act. What is the CARE Act? The CARE Act, it allows people whose income has been negatively affected because of the coronavirus to suspend their payments. That's not the whole part of the act. That's a detail of the act. That's what you're hearing about on social media. So now, what is forbearance? Because a lot of people are hearing suspending payments and they think that they can skip a payment. The word forbearance, that word isn't interchangeable or synonymous with skipping payments. Forbearance, by definition, is when a lender and a borrower or mortgager, whoever borrowed the money to buy the house, becomes delinquent and they have to come up with new terms for a new mortgage or a new program or whatever the case is. So you're not skipping these payments. An example is, imagine if you go into BrandSmart USA, you wanted to buy a refrigerator with a TV unit and an Alexa. You thought it was a good idea because the salesman told you that you don't have to make your first payments until 6 months down the road. This is an example of mortgage forbearance, but on a micro level. During a mortgage forbearance, you don't have to make your payments until a certain time. Just like the refrigerator, once that time is up, you didn't skip those payments, your payments continue. The mortgage forbearance, after the 6 months or the 3 months or whatever it is, you guys continue the payments. How do you continue the payments? There's one way, which is a scary way, which it has happened during Hurricane Irma. A lot of people heard about the forbearance and they did it. And then they realized after the third month or the second month that they skipped their payments. On that next month, they had to make all of those mortgage payments at one time. That's a balloon payment. That's what a lot of people signed up for. So it definitely defeats the purpose of skipping those payments because you have to come up with all the payments at one time. Another way of doing it is by way of a loan modification. Extend the length of your loan. Roll those mortgage payments into the loan amount, extend it. That's another way. These ways, they might sound good or pleasant at the time, but they're not. Let's say if after the coronavirus finishes and rates drop again, which they are projected to drop, by the way. 3.5 is going to be dwarfed, or it's actually going to look really high compared to what's to come. I project rates to be at about 2.5, more or less. Again, that's just a prediction. But let's say if rates do get dropped now and you want to refinance. You did the forbearance and now it's your turn to refinance. You said, "Hey, Gio, give me a refinance. I heard rates are really low." During the refinance, I discovered that you did a forbearance. We ordered a mortgage payoff for you. Those payments that you skipped, now they have to be paid at the day of closing. Now your refinance doesn't make any financial sense because you have to come up with $10,000, $3,000, whatever the case is, at the day of closing. So the forbearance can actually hinder you from your refinance. It can also hinder you if you wanted to sell your property. During the sale of the property, not only do you have to give commission to the real estate agents helping you out, but you have to make back those payments on the mortgage forbearance. So again, guys, if you can make your payment, make sure to do so. If you can't, for whatever reason, if you really truly can't and you were actually affected by this, give your mortgage service provider a call. It's very simple. Their number is right in front of the mortgage statement that you get every month to tell you how much you have to pay. Get that phone number, call them, go over the details, and see what you can come up with to help you in your time of need and your financial distress. Make sure everything you go over with that mortgage service provider is in written detail. It'll sound good over the phone, but remember, this is a big purchase that you did. This is a big debt. Just make sure to get everything in writing in detail. One last thing before I go, guys. The example that I gave you about the refrigerator and with your home, the only difference is with the refrigerator, if you don't make the payments after the 6 months, you lose a refrigerator. After the 6 months of mortgage forbearance, or 3 months, or whatever it is that you and your lender discuss, if at the end of that forbearance period, for whatever reason you can't make your mortgage payments, the lender now has the authority to flex and get their money back by way of a foreclosure. This is another danger of mortgage forbearance. So if it's something that you absolutely have to do, make sure to do it. Call your service provider and do it the right way. Just don't skip a payment. I have a client called me and said that they heard on the news that they can just, because of the coronavirus, they can just not pay. That's wrong. It's going to sting you. Call your service provider and go over your options. Again, guys, I hope you guys are all safe. We're all going through challenging times now. We're going to make it. All of this that we're going through it together. And just stay as positive and as healthy as possible, guys. Blessings to you all. It's the Mortgage King, so you know who said it.